All right, guys, welcome back to the Canadian Real Estate Homefront Podcast. This is episode 44. If you're new here, we just talk about all things real estate in the Canadian economy. If you ever want to book a call with Brooke or I, you can do so in the first link down below in the description. It's just a buyer or seller call, and we just go over your property needs. It's totally free. There's no pushy sales tactics, and we've been helping a lot of people from the podcast find investment properties or just make a move up or down. So if that interests you, please click the first link in the description. Anyways, Brooke?
I'm always so impressed with how you can just do that in one shot. It was so good. I was captivated the whole time.
Just a hidden talent, eh?
It is. It's so funny because
that.
when we do our podcast, we don't plan anything. We have a couple notes to talk about, but there's no like script or like practice. So I'm good at it. But then if somebody tells me to say something, I can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't do it. It
That
has to be natural.
That one time you just buckled.
I know. I tried to say, book a call with us, blah, blah, and it took 3 tries, and then I was like, okay, no. And that's why Cortez does it.
You went back to your phone.
Because it's like almost forced, right?
Yeah,
it has to come naturally, or else I can't do it. But that was captivating.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right, our first topic today. So this was trending on Twitter. So basically it was like a WhatsApp conversation with somebody.
Were you in the WhatsApp conversation?
I wasn't. No, this person just posted screenshots of it.
Oh, so somebody posted screenshots of the WhatsApp conversation that they were added into.
Yeah, so that he had this Brampton realtor. That's what it was titled, like at the top, Brampton realtor. So he probably just saved the contact as that.
Got it.
And then he was messaging this guy. Okay, so a realtor in Brampton was caught asking someone if they wanted to make extra money for putting in a fake offer. Basically, they would offer way below that the seller would ever take. And what it does is drum up FOMO from other buyers who are serious. The basic premise is the more offers, the more money the house will get. He was offering anywhere from $200 to $400 just to sign a fake offer. He said it was adding anywhere from 5 to 10 offers to a property that wouldn't even exist. This is a huge problem and should push for open bidding. You have to wonder how much is happening in other parts of Canada right now, which is pretty crazy. So yeah,
he did it. Like, my shock is that he got 5 people to write these fake offers.
5 to 10 people. So that's what he would do. And yeah, you don't know too much about it because it's just like a WhatsApp conversation. And even the guy who was like offered it was like, isn't that like the most unethical thing you can do? And the realtor basically, he said something, I can't recall what exactly he said, but yeah, putting in fake offers, because for people that don't know, Canada has blind bidding. So you don't have to share the offer. Sellers are allowed to share now, but you never would ever do that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, like if there was a house with 15 offers in Brampton, maybe it really only would have had 6 or 7.
Wow. My fear is that it creates a stigma that people actually believe it's fake offers.
It does, because people always ask you, but it makes sense too, right? Because you submit an 801 and it just has somebody's name on it, and a signature. Yeah. And then you're just paying them a couple bucks just to do it, which is pretty insane. But I guess it happens. It also happened in Montreal. 2 realtors were caught doing the same thing.
The thing is like, what's the consequence? Because technically, if you go to Joe Blow on the street and say, hey, put an offer on this property for 200 below asking or whatever, that person probably would buy it if they got it for 200 below ask. Like crazy number. They offered just something stupid to up the offer count. Would it be fake if he ended up quote unquote winning or having to go through with it? It's like, well then, right? Because it technically in that case, after they sign it, it's a low offer, which makes it quote unquote fake, but it is a real offer. If there is a buyer that's like, okay, offer however much below, it'll up your offer count. It's just a crap offer, but technically it's real. If RICO, our governing body, were to look into it, that buyer put in a crap offer. Yes, it was shady in the way they did it, but is it a fake offer, or is it actually a real person behind that offer that signed it? Because now technically it's real.
Yeah, but if you're paying them
paying them, that's where
that's
the
different. Yeah.
breaking of the real estate laws comes
like if
from.
you actually have the intention of buying that home, then yes.
Totally.
But in this case, no, they're just fabricating the amount of offers on the place.
That's so bad.
Yeah. It's so bad.
That is so bad. And like you got to think too. So the agent doing that is doing that for their seller, essentially to get more money, right? So you're risking your entire career
over one sale,
over a seller, which, there's always ways to do as much as you can to push the highest price and, a lot of things, but you never break the law.
I never.
Don't put your license on
At risk
the
just for one deal.
line.
Yeah. It's
Was it
really
his own
sad.
property? He had to have more invested in than
No,
just
he
wanting
does,
to do
but he
well
does it
for his
to,
seller.
it looked like he was doing it for a lot more properties. Like it looked like this wasn't his first time. He or she, we don't really know, but it's just really sad, and it brings a bad reputation to us realtors, which sucks. Like imagine how many people are reading this
Yeah.
thinking, how many times is this happening, which is true.
You know what's funny is that when I'm in competition, especially in this market where people aren't really overpaying, I've seen multiple offers where all three were under asking and conditional. So it's really important to have an agent that can, have those conversations with the listing agent and develop those relations because they usually know what's going on. I usually see how interested they are to talk to me about my offer, right? It's real estate. There is, as bad as it is to say, it is a little bit of a game when it comes to multiple offers and communicating with the agent and actually not overpaying for the house, but also getting the house, right? The goal is to, if you're in a multiple offer situation, it's not scary, but you want to be within 5 to 10 grand max above the second placed offer. And how many times I'm the listing agent and I have 13 offers, and the buyer that ends up winning is 100,000 above the second placed offer when they only needed to be 10. So that comes down to really who you work with.
Yeah.
That's why
100%.
realtors, if they, offer you cash back or list your place for 0.5% or whatever, that ends up costing you way more in the long run.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. It's like, I always call every agent that, cause I've been doing some work in Toronto these days, and I always call it every agent and just say, hey, like, these are my clients. Like, what are you thinking for price? And, it takes like a little bit, it takes work, right? Like
does.
I just blatantly ask, like, if I'm here, will I be holding my breath? Like, you gotta ask the right questions and
And build
try,
a relationship. Like I have a ton of relationships with agents, especially in Hamilton. Like usually when I look up a listing, like I've either seen their name before or if not, then we'll try to develop. Like I just want to have those relationships because that's extremely, extremely important.
Yeah, I think what it's kind of shed light on me is because I wasn't sure if open bidding was ever going to be a good thing or it would help prices. And I don't know if it will, but I think what it does is it brings more transparency to the market, and it kind of helps our reputation and maybe weed out some bad actors and stuff like that.
But open bidding wouldn't stray away from those people that are writing fake offers.
But you could see how low they are. You know what I mean? Like when you go into a multiple offer and there's 20 versus there should be 10, your client's going to act
They
accordingly.
could also have done a high number, but ridiculous conditions. And then open bidding, you don't have to share all contents of the offer. You can share price. They're at a great price, but then that fake quote unquote offer writes in, this is conditional upon.
No, when I say open bidding, I mean you get to see everything from the
Everything.
offer. Yeah. I think that's the best way it should go. But we'll see. Like I don't know for sure, but that's just kind of what I after reading all that, I was like, wow. As a consumer reading that, you're probably just so upset. Like, imagine just a nice couple just trying to get into the market, and they're overpaying because someone's paying $200 to $500 for a fake offer. It's kind of sad.
That is sad.
Yeah. You want to read the next one?
Yeah.
You'll like this one, actually.
Okay. New platform to screen tenants. A new platform called Open Room. Oh, is that what Shannon sent us?
Yeah. Shout out to Brooke's sister.
That's so funny. A new platform called Open Room is trending on social media. It's a transparent way to search and screen tenants. There's over 11,000 court orders uploaded to this website, or you can see if your potential tenant could cause headaches. Okay. After the failure of the tenant landlord board and backups 8+ months, it seems people are sick of the current system and are taking matters into their own hands.
Yeah. So you basically just go to this website
and see if there's any
court orders or anyone has uploaded, like, say, I don't know, Brooke Hicks is just a terrible tenant and hasn't paid me in 8 months.
Wow.
Then you can see, like, people can put it in and like help other people. So it's like almost like this really cool way, but it's also landlord too. So like if you have a really bad landlord and you're a tenant, so it goes both ways. You can actually see if there's any like claims against the landlord.
Wow.
It's just funny that people are taking it into their own hands now, right? Like, and I think it's a good thing, right? If the government can't create a fair system, then the people are doing it themselves.
Right. But these would have to be tenants that have actually gone that far into
arrears.
Yeah, to actually be in court, because who's to say, they make the rent, but they're just a shit tenant, but, coming from a different place, it was never put on there.
Yeah. So there
I
was
don't want
actually a
people to rely
conversation.
on that so much.
There was actually a conversation, like a tenant sent his landlord. He was like, "Why would you put me on there?" or something like that. And he was like, "You owe me like 20 grand. Like,
Yeah.
what did you expect was going to happen?" I got a chuckle out of it.
Yeah. What the hell?
Yeah. So, I mean, if
you owe me 20 grand.
yeah, I mean, it is a good, I think it's a great system. It's like an open source platform system. And, are there going to be some maybe wrongful doings? Maybe, but the system we have right now has incredible amount of wrongful doings.
Oh my gosh.
You have people like, you basically have people stealing from each other, in my opinion. Like cash for keys, I hate that. I think that's such a scam.
Well,
Unless it's, this person has a year contract, you're trying to cut it short, then I understand it. But the fact that like, okay, you're giving them the proper notice that's under law and you still can't get them out is really crazy to me.
Yeah. No, I get it. And again, you got to do what you got to do sometimes, because somebody wants to sell their property because they found another one and whatever. Having a tenant that's living there and building a family and just needing to get them out for your own benefit, it is where somebody lives. However, a bad tenant, like, if you get them out, you're going to sell much higher, because then all their stuff is gone and there's not a bad tenant. So in the systems that we currently work in, I don't even think there is many places where you can just be like, okay, time for you to leave and uproot somebody that's been leasing your house. Like, there has to be systems even in other countries too. Maybe Canada's a little bit harder.
Well, the States is a lot better with it. Like if you don't pay, not all the states, because every state has a different way of doing it. But if you don't pay in 30 days, you can get a sheriff to the house and they get them out for you. Versus Canada, you have this backlog that's like unbelievable.
Yeah.
So it's, I think it's a great open source system that'll help a lot of people.
Very cool.
Yeah, because the tenant landlord.
I know a couple landlords that should be putting.
We should be doing it too for our clients too. Hey, check out this website.
Yeah, some landlords that currently want their tenants out, they'll need to wait to put that person on it until that tenant finds a new lease.
Yeah, honestly,
they'd be screwing themselves.
Yeah, we talked about that with Tom. Remember, if you have a bad tenant, and you got a call.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they're great. Yeah.
You know what is crazy is I was doing landlord checks for tenants that applied to one of my leases, and the landlord was like, "I'm not going to comment. I have nothing to comment," and she's still living there. So I'm like, "Okay, okay, interesting." And then I went to the tenants, like the landlord wouldn't comment, and then she explained how bad the landlord was, and I was like, "Okay, well, I don't want to be involved in this." Like it was kind of strange that he said, "I am not getting involved. I'm not telling you," but she's still living in his house. So I was like, "Okay, well, thanks. You can keep her then."
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to screw people too.
No, you don't. But a lot of people are getting screwed. A lot of people are getting hurt.
Yeah.
I see it all the time on Twitter. I guess like the algorithm just sends it to me. Just like the way they trash.
I need to get on Twitter. I don't use Twitter.
It's fun.
I use Reddit and
Twitter's like instant news. It's like the most up-to-date news that you can get. It's really good.
And it's uncensored.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you get to see these videos of like landlords having terrible living conditions, but then you also see tenants wrecking a place. So like it goes
follow
both
certain
ways.
people, like you've like created.
It's kind of like the Instagram algorithm in a sense. Like
yeah.
if you like a housing video, they're gonna push housing on you. So, yeah.
We should do Twitter live rooms.
I know you need like a decent following though, which we don't have. We have that on Instagram.
Do you have a Twitter?
We do, but it's not going.
We don't use it.
Yeah, I don't upload. I should.
Yeah, let's start a Twitter.
We do have one. I just got to upload on it. Yeah, talk about this.
Great.
Anyways, yeah. So a new transparent system is good. So, anyways, next topic: pandemic spread rental affordability crisis across the country. Experts say. So affordable renting housing is scarcer than ever in Canada, and one expert says that COVID-19 pandemic is in large part to blame for spreading the affordability crisis to smaller outskirt markets. The pandemic enabled people to work remotely, which opened avenues for improving their housing situation, he says. For example, workers who were able to work remote and found housing in two of Canada's largest cities too expensive started looking in other areas and in many cases move. This shift brought increased demand in housing markets outside of large urban centers, in markets that had been somewhat insulated from the affordability crisis. So basically just saying like, because of the pandemic, people started moving elsewhere to smaller towns and that created more unaffordability. But there's
all
more
be all the
to it.
population coming too.
Yeah, there's
Like,
more to it. Yeah, like 1.2 million people came to
there's
Canada.
yeah.
You just have way too much stress on the system. So you also need to consider all the foreign students that came to these small towns like Kingston, Ontario, and
Kitchener,
Conestoga College. Yeah,
yeah.
Kitchener example. So that puts a lot of strain on the market as well.
Mhm.
Guelph.
Mhm.
I'm sure London's seeing it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. Like people coming from other countries, like I've seen a couple where they're like, I have a budget of 700. I'm looking for a room near Toronto, whatever college they were going to. And it's like, I don't know. I don't see rooms on MLS. So it's tough for a realtor to help students to find student housing. So it's like Facebook groups and stuff. And I'm sure it's just a crap show right
Oh,
now
I
to
can't
find a
even imagine
room.
how hard it is.
You know what? I flew back from Costa Rica on Wednesday of last week, and the immigration line, so people that had just gotten off the plane from wherever they were coming from and moving to Canada to then check into Canada essentially, was huge.
Really?
Like huge. I'm like, oh, thank God I'm not in that line.
Wow.
Um,
I would have never
crazy.
expected that.
Yeah. And it was just, when was it? I landed at 10 p.m. on a Wednesday. Not that Wednesday matters, but it was just like late at night, 10 p.m. And like the lineup was like, and then customs. And it never takes me long to go through Canadian customs when you fly because they have those like machines in Pearson. And it's usually like you're right through. But it took me like an hour to get out of customs. And
Really?
because a lot of the immigration, you go through customs, then you go into your immigration line. And it's just interesting. Okay, so you go through that line and then it's like, okay,
Welcome to Canada.
Welcome to Canada. And so they walk into the airport,
Where everything's
like
expensive.
get a Uber or a cab somewhere, and either go see family if that, or
Yeah,
maybe you have an
hopefully you
Airbnb
have a
booked or
plan.
a
Yeah.
hotel. You know, try to
Yeah, it's
figure out the
tough.
transit system to go see your new school. Like I'm sure it's.
I actually just got my Nexus card, so I won't have to
Did
worry about that.
you?
Yeah, it's kind of nice. But also, like to your point of that, there was a guy on Twitter and his company offered him, like, he was making money in India.
Yeah.
They offered him 200K, which is a lot of money
Yeah.
in Canada, to come to Canada, and he just posted it in Reddit, your favorite website,
Yeah.
and everyone was like, "That's not enough money.
Oh no, no,
Like
it's
don't come here. Like it's better off to take less in India
Yeah.
and stay there." So he ended up not coming. But it's funny, like this, not funny, but
yeah,
this trend that we've been talking about for a year now.
Well, 200K on paper is going to make you
One.
100.
Yeah,
pretty
100
much.
pretty much. You're pretty much
100. Okay.
a little more maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
I think
call it 100
yeah.
because realistically it is
maybe
100.
110,
Yeah.
115, but that's not
So
a lot.
that is less than 10K a month. Okay, is your take home. Okay, your rent's going to be,
If you have a family,
if you have a family, 3,500
yeah,
minimum.
probably $4,000 if you want a
$4
townhouse.
grand.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're at $6,000 a month.
Yeah.
Now your car, your insurance, your gas, your food.
2 cars probably.
Yeah. You're living.
You're cutting away at it.
You make 200K a year and you can't save more than a couple thousand.
And you have
per month.
kids, you have yeah.
Kids daycare. Like
It'll go quick.
It is wild.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then permanent residence applications were also down in Canada. That's also falling. So, I think that's going to be the trend, you know. I think there's still a lot of people coming here. But in the next couple of years, I think the trend is, you know, either stay in India because they are our largest group of people that do come to Canada. But it's definitely, the tide is changing. It's not, as people say, Canada's not what it used to be. We'll see.
Okay, very good. I want to read one.
Yeah, read the last one.
Okay. A resurgence. Sales and listings both up in latest GTA housing data. The Toronto Real Estate Board has released its market data for February, and while an extra day will always help with overall numbers, it seems the year's shortest month would have performed well with or without a 29th day. It did have a 29th day.
Yeah. So they're saying there's an extra day of that.
Got it.
Yeah.
According to the board, some 5,607 GTA home sales were put through TREB's MLS system in February, a sizable 17.9% jump compared to the same month last year. Okay.
Yeah.
Once the leap year effect is factored in, year-over-year sales were up by 12.3%. President of TREB chalked the bump in sales up to buyers having found a new level of comfort with interest rates. It's like the new norm. Or I also think that if interest rates do trend down, like everybody's saying, I think buyers are like, okay, I can tough out these interest rates for now, but historically and typically when rates go down, prices go up. So they'll tough out the high interest rates now to get in at a good price. So that long term they've locked in the good price, rate will always change.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I like the article really says, I think people have gotten more comfortable with rates, but this is like GTA specific. So I noticed Toronto being a lot hotter than Hamilton, for example. Like the GTA, like just basic areas, like, the Junction and surrounding areas are just seeing like multiple offers.
Yeah.
Anything like a semi or a detached, they're seeing multiple offers kind of like over that million mark.
Right.
Hamilton though, like there was one duplex that I went and showed. It was listed at 700. It was on Hamilton Mountain. You know better than me, but probably worth 800.
What street?
I forget off the top of my head.
Okay.
But don't grill me. But yeah, it had 8 or 9 offers.
Yeah.
And it actually sold conditionally,
Huh.
which I was kind of surprised by.
Yeah.
But what's that condition?
I sneak in conditions when I'm in multiple offers all the time. And the way you
But
do
if you did that in Toronto, you'd lose.
You'd lose.
Yeah.
Huh.
100%. You'd be done. If you don't have the check ready, you're done too. Yeah. It's back to those days. In Toronto though, I don't know where this resurgence is coming from. Maybe you have move up buyers or people who are on the sidelines.
Sales were down for so long. So it's like
pent up demand.
Pent up demand is a thing.
Yeah.
Right?
It's not even us trying to create FOMO, like at all.
No.
Just the truth.
It is. I am noticing I'm way like November, December, beginning of January.
Yeah.
And historically, those are months that are a little bit slower for realtors.
For sure.
But it was definitely slow. Like now it's like I'm on my phone 10 hours a day probably right
I know
now.
my screen time's probably disgusting.
Yeah, it's crazy. But it's, first of all, I also love it, but it is the sake and the sentiment across realtors, even just when I chat with other people in different markets, it's like they're feeling it too. And it's just more people are out. And obviously the weather helps. Everybody wants to do more things when it's warm. I was 15 degrees yesterday. I was like celebrating. Yeah. So good.
So nice.
So it's 15 degrees in Toronto in
Summer's
March.
coming.
Are you
Yeah.
kidding? I'll take it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah. And I noticed too, just like showing properties, I'm sure you get this. We get like a notification if there's an offer registered, and I'm just seeing that more and more.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Totally.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the market is humming along and buzzing. I don't think that prices are going to go on this rocket ship. I think we'll see more sellers actually come to market now that I think a lot of people who like don't have to sell.
Yeah.
Because you always get that. I don't have to sell.
Right.
But you do want a good market to sell in, and I understand. So if you start seeing like, Barb and John down the road getting a great price, you're going to say, okay, let's list. Yeah, let's do it.
Totally.
So I am noticing a lot more listings coming to market, which should kind of alleviate some of this 20 plus offer pressure in Toronto, but also other in the outskirts. So
yeah. See, I don't really go east of Mississauga too often to the Toronto market. And it's just like I know my market so well that I just don't even pretend to try with Toronto. So it's interesting to see that
the difference and not
the difference, and we're half an hour away.
Yeah, my one friend Kieran, he sells a lot of high end listings.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that always kind of gives me a pulse on the market. Like,
got it.
He's getting stuff at like 5 million and it's moving. As the poor, he said last year, like it was just so tight. It was just so dead.
Huh.
So, when you think of like that luxury market that's moving, you have to think like these people are insulated from interest rates.
From interest rates.
Yeah. Like they're probably not
like
taking on a $4 million mortgage at 6%.
No. Even like what I was saying to my sellers in Oakville, like $1.5 million, like the people that are coming here are not first time buyers. They are for the most part insulated, or they're selling and upsizing. And if they are first time buyers, they have money.
Yeah.
So the interest rates shouldn't come into a crazy effect with that, other than when they start to decrease. The market as a whole should trend upwards a little bit. But at those price points, interest, like our parents, they don't follow it because they're mortgage free for the most part. And like Oakville is a very mortgage free city because of the age of and the demographic.
For sure. And like you have to be a little privileged. I hate that word, but it's true. If I'm working with someone and they're a first time buyer and they're not looking for like a $500,000 condo and they're looking, $800K plus over $1 million, they have, they always tell me my parents are giving us money and things like that. Like it's obviously awesome, but that's what I notice that's the trend is when you have someone in their 20s or early 30s and they're just getting into the market.
Yeah.
They're getting help from their parents because their parents sold the family home or they've done really well over time. So I think Canada has a lot more money than kind of we think.
Right.
Especially in the Toronto
it's true.
area.
Like how much of the population is mortgage free, right?
Tons. Yeah. Like
what was it, 30% or something?
I think it was even higher.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like, you know, you bought the house for $200K, you paid that off, no problem.
Yeah.
Especially as like you progressed in your job and things like that. So, but yeah, I think that's kind of the trend we're seeing is a little bit of pent up demand kind of popping the market a little bit.
Interest rate announcement tomorrow. I guess we'll be posting this tomorrow probably. So interest rate hike today.
Yeah.
Today's Tuesday. So March 6th. Is it the 5th today?
Is the announcement?
Oh my God, it's the 5th.
Yeah,
How crazy is that? So yeah, March 6th, there's an interest rate announcement. I think they're going to hold. Again, like Cortez and I said, throwing fuel on a spring market that's already starting to become busy.
They might hold for the rest of the year. Like I know it sounds crazy, but housing is up. Like TIFF is looking at that. Like not up, but like you just can't cool this housing market. Like it's crazy. Like you just can't. We have cooled it. Don't get me wrong, but you know.
Did you see the post where it's like if mortgage interest wasn't a part of the overall like the inflation reading that we'd actually be at our target though?
Yeah. No, I saw that. But you have to think of that like if we dropped rates,
then things
would skyrocket. And then what people forget too is that the Canadian dollar weakens against the US.
Yeah.
That we're importing inflation at that point. Yeah. So I know it's like it's so fun to harp on the Bank of Canada.
No, but we need to be close to them because the further we are apart from them,
the worse it is.
The worse we are.
I'm a Bitcoin guy, just straight up. But if you look at the price of Bitcoin from its all-time high, and it just hit an all-time high today in US dollars, but it's been at an all-time high for a while in like the Aussie dollar and the Canadian dollar. Yeah. So those currencies have devalued versus the US already. So if we start dropping rates even more, and I'm not making a correlation to Bitcoin, I'm just making a point, is that the Canadian dollar has already declined versus the US. Yeah. And if we drop rates too quick, then people will flock to the US and hold their currency versus ours. Yeah. That's kind of how that works. I'm not an economics expert, but from what I understand.
You are an economics guy.
We'll
see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. This market has been interesting for both of us, I think. And I think we're enjoying being more busier and again, helping people from the pod. So always reach out. But
we got a car full of stuff that we're going to go stage a listing nearby.
Yeah, I know. We were at HomeSense this morning.
I'm making Cortez is pushing 2 carts, one with each hand full of the stuff. And then he points something out. Don't trust a guy to stage your house.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, no.
I was like, these lamps are nice.
Ew.
You're like, I didn't talk for the rest of the time. I was like, I'm not going to give my opinion.
No. Yeah. So we got a car full of stuff and busy rest of the day.
Yeah. We're back to work.
We are back. Well,
you don't call it work?
No, I'm just saying I don't really think we were ever off work.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is work, I guess, but we have fun doing it. So.
Cool.
All right. Anything else?
Back next week, and I'm sure we'll talk about the interest rate announcement.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, guys, if you are new here or you've been here for a while, please leave us a rating on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It helps push the content out. And if you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. And if you want to follow us on any of the short form stuff, I'll post a link down below. Someone said that it was hard to find the Instagram, so I will post that in the description as well. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll be back next week with more info. Take care, guys.